Okay, perfect. So yeah, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to send me an email. Here's my email address. You can also email support@micromind.com. We have worldwide mining engineers and geologists on our team to assist you on a 24/7 basis. And then just a few housekeeping rules. Just please make sure you have the latest version of Micromind 2021.5 installed on your PC. We normally bring out new versions on a regular basis. So please just go on the website to make sure you have the latest version. For example, if there's any bugs that's been reported, we release new versions on a regular basis. And then you can save the training data set in a folder called data on your C drive. And we'll have a 10-minute break every hour. And then also please stop me if there's a break in audio or video. So you can, to avoid interruptions, you can type the questions in the comment section, or during the break, I will try and assist you. During the 10-minute break, you can also ask me questions there. And if it's something urgent, you're more than welcome to shout out. If you have a technical question, we can cover it during the break or the Q&A session at 2 p.m. South African time, GMT +2. It's not compulsory to attend the session. So you'll still get your certificate even though you don't attend the Q&A, but that is just if you have additional questions you'd like to ask me. And then this is also a CBD accredited course through SAC and ASB. Okay, so just looking at the course structure. So first we're going to review a block model. So it's important to have an understanding of your resource model. So we're going to display a block model, and we're also going to generate a block model report. And then we're going to look at underground stopes. We're going to generate stope wireframes. So if you all did the intro course, you'll be familiar with constructing wireframes. And then we're going to look at some Micromind underground CAD tools that you can use in your underground design. And then we're going to create development drives. We're going to digitize drives and also create drive wireframes. So you need to create a wireframe to use in your ring design and development drilling database. So then we're going to look at development drilling and also ring design drilling. So yeah, this is drilling and blasting. So we're also going to look at how to charge your ring design and also your development drilling design. Okay, so this is just, we're not going to tackle a particular mining method. It's just going to be rudimentary basics for you to understand how to use these tools and apply it to your mine layout. Okay, so let me just perhaps open Micromind. So I'm just going to quickly show you so you can get an understanding of how the process flow works. This isn't the training data set. I just want to quickly give you an overview or brief overview. So here's, for example, your block model. And then let me just hide the block model. Perhaps there's a geotechnical zone that you can include. So you will avoid mining in that area. So we did the stope optimization course. If you did the stope optimization course, you will be familiar with constructing stopes to make a profitable stope layout that you can mine that out. So this is an example of stopes that you can mine. So let me just bring in, so you have your outer stopes, which is the low grade, and you have your inner stopes, which is the high grade. So here is stopes. So this is just generated from, I just generated wireframes from my stope optimization. So then what you will do is you will start with your, if you know where you want to mine, you can start with your underground CAD design. So designing your decline, designing your shaft bunker, your development drives, your cross cuts, and your production drives. And also perhaps the ore pass with a silo. So once you designed your strings, we will then create wireframes. So from your topo, you will then create your decline, your shaft bunker, and all your required drives to access your ore body. Let me just show you perhaps the blasting and hide the topo. So we're also going to look at how to construct. So here you can see is your development drilling. So we're going to look at an exercise to create a development drill design. So this is for tunnel blasting. And then we're also going to look at some ring design. So as you can see, you can create extensive designs for your stope blasting. So as you can see, these ring designs are in the inside of my stope. It's a this ore body is consistently stacked, therefore you can just copy your drives. So you don't need to do every one individually, so you can just copy them to save time. Okay, but we will go through the process of that. So yeah, this is just all the basics that you can then apply to your mine design layout. So let me just bring in so you're going to go attach to bring in the project. I already attached it, but you can find it on your C drive, and you will then just select your underground training. So I'll just open mine up. So yeah, I'm starting from scratch now with this project, so you can follow along. So firstly, we're going to look at reviewing a resource model. So let us display the block model. So under Visix layer types, you can double click on block model, and you can just reset your form. So as you know, a block model provides information about the resource, such as the elements, the cutoffs, the average grades, the material quantities, and the rock types. So you're going to use your block model to generate stopes, and then from your stopes, you will do your underground design. So the block model we're going to use today is the underground. So you can just select there, and it is the underground training block model right at the bottom. And then let me just check. We're going to create a filter for it. So we don't want to see the whole block model. We only want to see the stope regions. So you can just reset this, and we'll create this filter. So I'm just going to select the block model, and then I'm going to filter by stopes. So if I open my block model, you will see is a field stopes. So the blocks in the stope region has just been assigned to the name. So we're going to look at 405 and I think 435. Let me just check on stats. Yeah, so it's 405 and 435. Okay. So you just say stope equal to 405, and then you can press enter and say stope equal to 435. You can just select all, and we'll just save this as underground stope filter. There is already one created, so you can just select this one if you don't want to create one yourself. We'll just save and close. So now if you right click on your block model, you will see the blocks that's not have the 435 and the 405 values. They will not be assigned to this display. Okay, so okay, let's just save this perhaps along. So you can just save as, and we'll just call this block model underground training block model of stopes. And then let me just check if someone's not in the lobby. That's fine. And then we can go to our hatch tabs on the display. We want to display it in 3D. And under our hatch tab, we want to use a hatch field. So we're going to look at silver. So we have two mineral contents here. We have gold and silver. And if you're not familiar with a block model, so this is just the block centroid's coordinates, and this will just be the block size of each block in the east and north direction, and then this will just be your element grade. I'm not sure what this random is, so you can just ignore it. And then you can also add a block visibility interactive chart. So this will just allow you in Visix to look at different grades. So we can perhaps add that. And then, yeah, let's finish up our hatch set. So I just want to see if, so we're going to create a new one. So you can just right click on it and say new. And then we're just going to assign it. Or let's rather calculate. So you can either come in assign if you want certain ranges, but we want to use calculate because we want to define our ranges for us. So the first one, the first value will be 10 and the last value will be 300. So you can either calculate according to the interval count, so then you specify the amount of intervals between 10 and 300, or you can just do by interval size, where you specify the size of the interval. So we're going to separate it into interval size of 50. Press OK. So you'll then see, as you can see, it's separated into interval sizes of 50. Okay, so now, as you all know, you can full perhaps you can change the color automatically here. So just by clicking here, and for example, you can then set a foreground pattern and a background color for your hatch set, but we just want to apply a color palette. So you'll just go select, and we'll just select rainbow. So you will see it will be filled with this rainbow colors. Let me just, you can also change the default color here if you want, but it will just override it since we chose the palette. Okay, so we can just save as, and we can save it to silver color set. Press OK. Save and close. And just save. Remember, I saved earlier, so I didn't save this yet. So you can just save, press OK. So yeah, as the block model. So remember, we filtered it out just to see our steps. We're just reducing the noise so we don't see anything outside of our steps. So here is the interactive visibility chart. So you can just perhaps move through this dialog to go to your high grade. So here I'm only seeing high grade between 281 and 300. So to access your interactive visibility, you can just right click on your block model and click on block visibility. And then to get your hatch set or your color set, you can just highlight your block model and then display hatch legend. So there's your legend. Yeah, so next we're going to look at a block model report. So if you've done the pit optimization or the state optimization course, you'll be familiar with block model reporting. So this will just be a refresher for you. If you haven't attended the courses, I'll just go through the basics quickly. So you basically just define ranges in which estimates will be reported. So let's go to block model, and here in the reports we can just select block model, and we'll generate a report for the same block model. So you can just select underground training block model, and we're not going to filter it, we're just going to look at the whole block model. So if you don't have a density field here, so as you can see, there's no density field assigned to each block. So Micromine will not know what the density is of the material. So if you have a density field, you can just get it from here. So anything that's missing, any value that's missing, let's say you do have a density field here and there's a value missing, it will just use the default density. Since we have nothing on the a field as density, you'll just use a default density of 2.8. And we're going to select a standard report. And here we can just call the report file rep. So reports underground training. So in some software, you're not allowed to use spaces. So in Micromine, you can use spaces. So we can go to the estimation tab, and we're gonna use a cutoff. So you can just right click. Now you need to create, let's just see if there's already one created. So I just want to use a different name. So yeah, if you don't want to skip this, you can just use this. Otherwise you can follow along and create a new one. So I'll just call it DM report bin. And here is where I'm going to create. So in the report, it will just be grouped according to the grades that you specify. So we're going to do by smallest value up. We're going to ascend our order. So we can just press on calculate. And this is pulled from the calculate button from the color set we did. So you can just keep this one, so can save some time. You can just press OK. And then we want to, there is also grades from 0 to 10. So we can just add a row. So you can just say insert row. You can see that from is missing here. So we'll just do from 0 to 10. And then the from will be populated with the preceding 2. And then you can press OK. So we just created a cutoff set there. So once the cutoff intervals are defined, we can just add 2 estimate fields. So you can just create 2 rows here on the estimate fields. So this is the content we do want to be reported on, our material content, which will be silver and gold. So we can choose the grade field as silver and our second one as gold. And we can just choose for both elements, we can use grams per ton. So you can choose any mineral unit to be reported on. Micromine will just do this conversion for you. So you can use a grade unit of grams per ton, which is a weighted average. It will just take the amount of mineral and divide it by the total tons in the block. That's a weighted average. You can also do the weighted average on cubes if you want. But if you want to do it on tons, you need to specify a density. Okay, so we want to report both of them on tons, but like I said, you can report on ounces as well. And then I just want to check. So we can just save it as underground training report, our form set, and we can just press run. And now we can just open it up. So we just created bins. So with our cutoff set, as you can see here from 0 to 10, that's the bins we created. And then we also report on our amount of mineral content per bin. So you can see as default density, the amount of tons for that range, and also the amount of mineral units for gold and also for silver. So you can also create additional groups. So if you want to report by categories, let's say you do have different rock types, you can add a report category and we'll just group it for you according to the rock type. Okay, so we just open it up. So once you open it up, you can also export this to Excel. If you're not familiar with this, you can just say export to Excel. And let's just call the, so this is your input, which is this file that we just, or report file that we just created. And our output name will be underground training. So report. And our sheet name will just be block model report. So here you specify that you want to write the field names. And we want the fields. So this is the fields, which will be the first row in the Excel file or sheet. And we just want our field to be bold. And we just want to open it after we exported it. So I will just overwrite the file. And here is your report in Excel. Okay. So next we're going to, so you can close this. So next we're going to look at how to generate stope wireframes. So here on there, you can just perhaps hide your block model. So here on physics layer types, on the strings, you can just double click here and reset your form. So you can bring in 405 stope polygons north. Just want to have a look for it. 405 stopes polygon north. And if you're familiar with Micromine, this field will just be auto-populated for you. And we can just go to display tab, perhaps just change the color to a lighter blue. And we can then press OK, and it will just display our strings for us. We're not going to use this in the design, but it's just to show you. So you can basically cut your block model into portions, and then you can create a wireframe from them. So you're going to use this perhaps to do your underground design on, if you want to go this route. But you can also just use the Stope Optimizer. Okay, so we can also do it. So you can just double click here on strings again. And we want to repeat this process for 435 stopes. So 435 stope polygons north. Press OK. Press OK. So this is north, and then this is just south. Yeah, no, sorry, this is both on the northern side. You will see if you add 435 and 45 on the southern side, it will be so this is just separated into 2 levels. So if I look east, you will see here at the bottom, you will see the elevation. So this is 43 round about 5, level 435 stopes, and then here is level 405 stopes. So we just name them according to the elevation they are in. So let me just check. So we're going to generate wireframes for the 405 stope first. So you can just uncheck 435. So we just see 405. So we're going to create a new wireframe. So you can either come here and create a new wireframe, or here under physics layer display, you can just select this drop down and select wireframe. So now we can create a new wireframe. So just to make your life easy, you can just rotate it so you can see your strings. If you are like this, you're going to struggle to create your wireframe. So just perhaps select looking east and just rotate it a bit. So you can then, if your wireframe is the active layer, you can just select new, and you can generate it from any direction you want to generate. So just click on your string and then just follow the process. So this is just from to. So let me just finish this up. So after this, we're going to validate the wireframe. So you can see it's basically just our the inside, or just our block model, a portion of our block model that we're creating a wireframe on. Okay, so now we need to close. So if we validate, as you know by now, we have 2 open sections because we haven't closed this yet. So you can just close. So I'll just select here and say close end. Select here and close end as well. And I'll just revalidate my wireframe. Okay, so we can follow the similar process for 435. And let me just perhaps save this wireframe first. So if you click here, and we'll just save as. So here you define the type. Just want to see if they created a type for us. So you can just save it on the underground stopes for training, that TRIT database. And then of this wireframe will be, let's see, yeah, the 405 first, 405 RL stope wireframe north. Just remove this, and the color we can just make it lime. Press OK. And here's our wireframe, and we can just perhaps save the form, so we will be able to access the form from Vuzix layer types. So we can just call it 405 stope wireframe north. And you can hide it, and we're going to create a new wireframe for the 435 stope. So you can just select new wireframe and just follow the process. As you can see, if you zoom in a bit, Micromine is just creating a bunch of triangulations on the shell of the wireframe. So we can just close the ends again. So you can just select the last string, close it, and the string as well, and close end. So if we validate it, no errors were found. So we can just save as, and we'll just call this one 435 RL for elevation, stope wireframe north. And we'll just perhaps change the color to orange and press OK. And once you've done with that, you should be able to see your two wireframes that you created for your stopes. Okay, so let me just see what the next exercise is. So next we're going to create a wireframe set. So we're not going to use these wireframes. We're going to use stopes that have been created. Just want to see. Sorry, I just see there's another notification from John. So we're going to use stopes that have been created by Micromine Stope Optimizer. So we'll just, in this exercise, learn how to create a wireframe set, which we will add then into Vuzix. So let me just save this form quickly. Okay. We can just remove all here to have a blank Vuzix display. So you can just double click on wireframe again here on the Vuzix layer types. And you can just reset the form. So here on the wireframe, you can select set, and we want to create a new form set, new wireframe set. So you can just select OptiStopes if you want to skip this process. I'll just show you how to create a new wireframe set. So I'll just call it OptiStopes 1. Press OK. And here is where you can just bring in a bunch of wireframes and create a set from them. So here on the type, it will be stored under Stope Optimizer, and we want to select by name. So this is just a bunch of wireframes that's stored under Stopes from Optimizer, and we want to select them by name. If you click here, you can see all the stopes. So as you know now, if you want to select all, you can just use a wildcard of the asterisk. So you can just select that. And then you can just save and close. So under the display tab, we can just select 3D color coding. So we want them in 3D. Later in another exercise, we're just going to use 2D slice, because then we're going to do our design on just one level. So we don't want to see the wireframe in 3D. We just want to see the slice. So we'll change the draw style to slice, but for now, let's display it as 3D. So we want to color code according to the wireframe name. So you can just look for name. And we want to select the color set to text, because the names are a text field. And let me just see if we need to create one. Yeah, so we need to create one. So you can just right click here and set it to new. And then we can click assign. So that is just populated from what we want to create a set from. So we just want to create a set from the name. So you can press OK. And here is all the names of our steps. You can just press the double arrow to bring all the names in and then press OK. So you have 227 different stope names. And now you can just right click here and fill with random colors. So they all will have a different color. And you can just save it and close. You'll just say random colors. And then we'll just save this form set as up the steps 1. So we saved the wireframe as opti steps 1, but we want to save the form set to the same name so we can find it under wireframes directly from physics layer types. Press OK, and then we can just press OK to display it. So here's our steps that we're going to look at today. So let's just, the next exercise is, so let's see if they added properties. I'm not sure. So yeah, from your step optimizer, this will be your end result. So you basically specified the layout and if there should be any pillars. So you can see it will be a pillar in between on this side and then no pillars here. So you basically specify the dimensions of your stope layout you want to create. So around about 8 meters there. And then Micromind will generate an optimal stope layout for you. And you can then also assign the material content for that. So it's just accumulation of all the blocks. I'm not sure if they do have a block model for this. Let's see. Yeah, so this is just the block model. So it is just the accumulation of all the blocks to create that stope. And if you click on it, you will see all the attributes for that stope layout. So you can create different stope designs. So if you want to perhaps have your stope at an angle, if you have a narrow dipping vein, you can just change your dip for your stope layout. But ours is just vertically here. So next is we're gonna look at to generate a report for the tons and grades of the wireframes. So let me just open the exercise. So you can just go to the wireframe tab and you can say report, create tonnage. So let me just reset this. So here is where we're going to select the wireframe. So we want to report on all these attributes from our stope optimizer. So if you haven't created one with me, you can just select Opti Stopes by Brink Versace that created the manual. I'll just use the one that I created now. And under data source, you have three options. You have 3D points, block model, or interval file. For now, we want to use block model because the data needs to be pulled from the block model. You can either just generate a report from this, but let's say you don't have this, you can just, in this example, it'll generate all the content from our block model. Okay. And let me just see under, so yeah, under file, I'll just choose the block model that I brought in, which is BM4 training. So let's say you didn't do the stope optimizer, you can also just assign content from your block model to your stopes. Just see. So yeah, let's move to the grade field tab. So we want to look at AU cuts. So I think this block model is a bit different. Yeah, so there's a different block model now because there's an AU cuts. I think that's the field we want to use. Oh yes, it's AU cuts we want to report on. So you just go to grade fields. So you can use grade from wireframe. So we could use this grade if we wanted, but in this case, we just want to use the grade from the block model. So you can just select your grade fields, AU cuts. So it will just interrogate where the wireframe overlaps with the block model. And we want to, you can also write the final weighted gram to wireframe. So if you don't have these values here, you can just write them from the block model to your wireframe. And then here's a default grade. So let's make the default grade 0.1. So I think it is, and let's check. Yeah, so if there's not a grade, it will just use this default grade of 0.1. So if there's any value missing here under AU cut, let's just see. So there's no blank records, but if you do have blank records, it will just override it with this grade. And we want to set the grade units to grams per ton. And we want to report on tons. So let's go to the output tab. Here is where you specify how you want your report to look like. So we don't have a density in our wireframe or in our block model. So you can just use a default density for this example. Default density will be 2.8, and then a void density. So the portion where the wireframe does not intersect the block model, that will be seen as a void to Micromine. But you can also just create a void density for it, so it will not be seen as a. So we'll just write there 2.5. So that will just, if the intersection does not occur, it will just populate it with the default void density of 2.5. And then the report file. You can also create attributes for void if you want. Let us create the report file as report of these stope grade tonnage report. And we can just press run here. So just give it a few seconds to process all the wireframes because there's 227 stopes it needs to look at. Just want to check if there's not someone in the lobby. So yeah, probably some are familiar with this. So it will just be a refresher, but after the break, we can start with the Micromat tools to create our drives and our tunnels, and then do the ring design lastly. So it's just processing it now. There we go. So let me just export it to Excel so it's a bit easier to read. And yeah, under the report viewer. So I'm just going to change the output name. That's fine like this. And we can just change the sheet name to copy steps. Great tonnage. And we'll keep the rest the same. And here is our grade tonnage report. So you can see all our stopes. And then you'll see they're categorized as block or void. So like I said, void is where there were no intersection with the block model. So it's been assigned to a default grade of 0.1. And then when there's an intersection, it will use the weighted average for the blocks there. And so we're basically just reporting on our, so you can see the voids are quite big in size because it looks like it's not the full block model that they have in this example. So you can see this large void sizes, which is probably a bit inaccurate. So this should be preferably much smaller than your normal block volume. And then yeah, you get the average grade for that stope and also the mineral content. So when you see a prefix of M, that is for mineral content. So we reported it in tons, therefore it's super small. Okay. So yeah, that is it for the first session. So let's take a 10-minute break. I'm just going to perhaps stop the recording. So